Hey guys, my name is Julia and welcome to another lesson. Today we're going to talk about 3 ways to improve your metronome practice. So the first tip is relaxing. And it can be easily overlooked because, the metronome is just like there and like keeping us in time, but especially when we haven't quite developed that inner time as yet. So we're either pushing ahead or dragging behind it a lot. It can be quite frustrating, and just being as relaxed as possible can really go a long way. So just giving yourself like 2 bars before you join in. So allowing yourself to actually hear it first and sit in that tempo within your mind for a few bars and then join in. Most of my students, as soon as I start the metronome, they will just go straight in there. They hadn't even listened to it yet. And usually that's where they will fall. So really important. The second tip, this changed my whole mindset about playing with the metronome. I used to hate it for ages because I always found it was something, because it is something that is external to you. But one of the best pieces of advice that one of my teachers gave me, he said, think about the metronome as someone in the band playing the cowbell, right? They're in the band with you. So you want to groove along with the cowbell, right? And that, just thinking about the metronome in that way allowed me to sort of become one with it in a way, like all of a sudden in a band together, you're all of a sudden working together. So it's a different mindset, right? And then that really allowed me to sort of relax and practice playing right on the beat with it, sort of at times sitting back in the pocket a little bit, and then at other times pushing ahead of the beat as well. And just the whole mindset thing was so powerful, and highly recommend giving it a try if you struggle with that. As drummers, we are the time. This is our job. So it's about you taking that step and becoming the time. Again, it's another mindset thing. And I remember I did a couple gigs where, I had to, obviously as the drummer, you're counting in most of the songs and you've got the tempo, and I would have the metronome going in silence, but I'd see the click go, and throughout the gig I would constantly check in on it, and I noticed that I wasn't trusting myself with the time. And as soon as I walked away from that gig, I was like, that's not really my role. I'm constantly checking in on the metronome during the gig. Like, this is something that should be practiced before the gig, right? Or at least have gotten better. Obviously it takes time, everything takes time. But I just noticed that straight away. And so any gigs from then on, what I did was that I would check the metronome at the start, and then I wouldn't look at it again, because I want to sit in the groove and feel the groove, feel the tempo, and just trust that I can sit in that tempo. And there's nothing wrong with sometimes pushing ahead when the chorus comes up, or it all depends on the context of the song and who you're playing for, and and that type of thing. But yeah, I always try to assess what the band, depending on who I'm playing with, ask them about, whether the songs need to be on point, or do they prefer to push ahead of the time or sit back in the pocket. And if you communicate that sort of stuff, it can be a lot easier. That's what helps me anyway. So, but really just taking command of your role and just trusting it, right? All right, this song is at 62 beats per minute. It's a cover. I've listened to it, And because it's a cover and we're all wanting to play it as closely as possible, I'm going to train my ears to remember the song at that tempo and remember that feel at that tempo. So I'm going to practice it at home, occasionally glancing at it just to check in, record myself, and then assess after the recording and listen back if I've actually stayed on that tempo or not, or if I've pushed or if I've dragged. But they are essentially the 3 tips around the mindset of practicing with the metronome.